still have that chance to win it. You must take a lot of positives out of it.
Yeah, we do. We think we went away from a few of the things though that we value, and obviously one of those being we wanted to have more pressure on the game in the first quarter than what we did, and it forced us into a position of chasing. Now we didn't quite get there, which we were pleased to give ourselves the opportunity, and that's always a positive to come out of the game. But we've still got some things in our game out of the weekend that we need to get a bit better at, and our clearance is our first half. A bit of the consistency that we've been having pretty well up until now. We just dropped off a little bit on that, so a little bit of work to do as we knew there'd always be.
What did you make of Freo's approach in the midfield, and what other clubs might potentially learn in terms of trying to negate your big movers in there?
With specifically?
Just the way they operated, the way they went about it, constant pressure around the wings and on the ball.
Well, I think there's no secrets in, I think every team tries to put pressure on the ball carriers, and that's what we try and do to the opposition. So I'm not sure there was a lot of difference in what everyone tries to do is we'll go at the same thing and try to do the same thing against St Kilda this week. We'll try and put some real heat on around the ball, get our pressure numbers up. The opposition try and do that, particularly in first quarters against us. That's been something that's coming through, and we've got to make sure that we give that back. And every team tries to do it. We talk about it. We just got to make sure we go and action it now. So it's something that the week before that always happens. It's just a matter of we've got to go out and make sure we start a bit better with the intensity around the contest and staying in the contest and making sure we get that right.
How's Logan faring after the end of the game?
No, he's okay. I mean, it's just one of those things you learn about is just to stick to your routine. That's what you've got a routine for. And I spoke to him obviously immediately after the game. I haven't touched on it again this week because it's done. We've moved past it. But the thing you learn out of that is, for everybody, is it's just a routine. That's what the routine's for in those moments. And he'll learn from that. He'll be fine. But certainly wasn't the sole reason we lost the game. Absolutely not.
Anyone can miss shots like that, of course. But his form overall, he's kicked 6 goals in his last 8 games. Is there something missing for him right now in terms of putting in a bigger performance?
Well, goals is one part of it, I guess. That's the most obvious part. That's not, pardon me, that's not the only indicator that we look at. But we've generally been moving pretty well as a forward half and a forward group in particular. So you look at the whole rather than the parts. But he's still working on his game. He's still developing his game. We understand that whether the young key forward's always not going to be able to have that level of consistency that they're after. He's still working on his game. He's still growing. He's still learning. There's not a lot of young forwards in the competition that are going out absolutely tearing it up every week. It's a tough position to play these days, and the younger forwards in particular take a bit of time.
Is that, so just understanding correctly, he went away from his routine in that last shot? Was that when he was talking to the umpire and worried about going?
Just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit. And sometimes it's only a small part of it, but we all learn from that, and I've been in those situations and haven't made the most of my opportunities as well. So that's just part of it.
I thought Hayden McLean was really good as well. Is it sort of the next step in his game, sort of finding a bit more consistency, or is it just sort of that role it's going to be up and down?
Yeah, he was a bit sore for a few weeks. I didn't do a lot of training. He's back training now, and he's able to put together a bit more consistency in his performance, which is always a good thing. And that's what we're hopeful of and mindful of, and that's what he's striving for is that consistency. And I think he took 6 contested marks. He had a real presence, both as a young key forward, but also as a ruckman. And so that was a real positive to come out of the game. Even when we weren't playing that well early, he was a real presence.
We've spoken a little bit about pressure both post-game and today. We saw those numbers drop a little bit, especially in the first half, like you said. Yeah. Is that something that is bound to happen when you're on a 10-game winning streak? And is that something that you're confident that the players aren't a bit tired of this point of the season, that you can get back pretty quickly?
Yeah, I think that's the demand of the game, and it's something that's required every week, no matter what part of the year it is, round 1, round 22, in finals, it's halfway point of the year, it doesn't really matter. The game demands it, and so we need to make sure that we really action it on game day. That's the most important thing. Is we can talk about it, but it's actually what we do out in the field of battle that really matters, and so that's what we need to focus more on it. We've talked about it, but we haven't executed as good as what we know we can.
You mentioned Hayden. In terms of the bill of health at the moment, are there multiple guys you're having to kind of manage the things at the moment, or was everyone pretty good?
No, nothing out of the normal. No, it's just there's guys training. There's some guys that aren't. Some guys are modified. That's nothing out of the ordinary.
How's Harry Cunningham?
He won't play this week, so he'll probably miss the next 2 weeks. Just a really small hamstring strain, and so he's going to miss the next 2 weeks.
How big of a shame, considering it was meant to be his 200th this week?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's he's been such a terrific player for this footy club for a long time, playing in multiple roles. He started off playing a half forward. He's played wing. He's played a lot of football down back. He's a real stalwart of the footy club and really experienced. Got great speed, great game knowledge. So it's he'll get there. We'll hopefully get him back in a couple of weeks.
Luke Barker, is there a plan, 1 more week to go of his suspension, and is there a plan in terms of what you're going to do when that's over?
Not yet. So he and Millsy will address next week because we can talk about the plan this week, but we haven't got all the information. So we'll get through this week, and make a bit of a call about what next week looks like, and plan for that next week.
Max King's struggling a little bit for form at the moment. Is that something that you look to exploit, or are you preparing for him to be at his best to play best?
We always prepare for the opposition and the individuals to be at their very best, and that hasn't changed since the start of time for us. It's just we look at the opposition's best always and prepare for that.
Andrew Dillon said this morning that he thinks the umpiring in the AFL is the best it's ever been. Is that something you agree with?
It doesn't matter what I agree with. If that's what the AFL boss says, that's what it is.
There's been a bit said about, obviously, in the game that the midfield trio, obviously Isaac and Chad and Errol, all kept pretty quiet. In terms of their sort of character, are they the sort of players who will go, okay, they want a big game this weekend and try and respond to that?
Oh, I think most players are. They're competitors. They're no different than most players that play AFL footy. They come out and want to compete and want to get better. Now, it's unusual they were quiet all at once. And we're so long into the season, so that was unusual. But you back them in to go again. I mean, most players like to be able to occasionally, if they play not up to their usual standards, they like to come back pretty strongly. But we need to do it. We go against the midfield this week. It'll be a challenge, and we need to get it done.
And in terms of Brody, obviously Sean Darcy played a really strong game on the weekend as well. Do you look at trying to change the way Brody plays, or do you have that faith in him that against another good run this weekend against Ryan Marshall that he
It was pretty good last week.
Yeah.
And so we've just got to be a bit careful. You can sort of jump around a bit after a loss, and he hasn't been too bad.
He looked a little bit sore though in the second half. Is he okay?
That just happened with one of the knocks. He's fine today.
Just got a request from a colleague in Perth. They're obviously very interested in Dean Cox over there. Is that do you think he's? I've been asked to ask you. Do you think he's a future AFL senior coach?
Well, as far as I know, there's no vacancies.
Yeah.
So that's the most important part. There's no vacancies unless there's something happened today.
No,
Okay,
do you
so
think he has the potential?
yeah, I think a number of our coaches do. Yeah, I mean we're fortunate that we've got a really experienced coaching group. Mark McVeigh's already coached. Dean Cox has been coaching here for a long time. He's very experienced. We look at Jared McVeigh, Ben Matthews. I'm very fortunate. Amon Buchanan. We've got a good coaching group. So as far as I know, as I said at the start, there's no coaching vacancies.